The Dearness Allowance is a cost of living adjustment allowance paid to government employees, public sector employers and pensioners in India and Bangladesh. Dearness allowance is calculated as a percentage of an Indian citizen's basic salary to mitigate the impact of inflation on people. Indian citizens may receive a basic salary or pension that is then supplemented by a housing or a Dearness allowance, or both. The guidelines that govern the DAR vary according to where one lives. History: the Dearness allowance was introduced following the Second World War, and was then known as the Dear Food Allowance. The old textile allowance was also introduced in 1947, though this was revised and reintroduced in 1953 as the Revised Textile Allowance. Initially DAR was given in response to demand of employees for wage revision, however later it was linked to Consumer Price Index. In the past various committees have been constituted to look into the issue of payment of DA to central government employees. The 3 Central Pay Commission recommended payment of DAR whenever the CPI rose by 8 points over the index of 200. The extent of neutralization granted with effect from January 1, 1973 ranged from 100% to 35%. The 4 Central Pay Commission recommended the grant of DAR on a percentage system of the basic pay. It also recommended payment of DAR twice a year. January 1 and 1 July each installment of DAR was to be calculated with reference to the percentage increase in the 12-monthly average of all India Consumer Price Index. The extent of neutralization now ranged from 100% to 65%. The V Central Pay Commission looked into the issue of differential neutralization and found it to be injustice to senior officers and recommended uniform neutralization of 100% to employees at all levels. The Commission had suggested that Dearness allowance should be converted into Dearness pay every time the cost of living rises by 50% over the base level. The 6th Central Pay Commission recommended revision of base year of the Consumer Price Index as frequently as feasible. It also changed base year for DAR calculation to 2001, DAR calculation sheet, formula for calculating Dearness allowance for central government employees after January 1, 2006 ISA, Dearness Allowance % equals, average of AICPI, base year 2001 equals 100, for the past 12 months a euro 115.76 closing round bracket over 115.76 closing curly bracket times 100, formula for calculating Dearness allowance for central public sector employees after January 1, 2007 ISA, Dearness Allowance % equals, average of AICPI, base year 2001 equals 100, for the past 3 months, 126.33 closing round bracket over 126.33 closing curly bracket times 100, Dearness allowance with effect from January or July of a particular year in the future, once the AICPI, IW, for a particular month is published by the government, whereas for PSU employees it is declared quarterly by DPE. Beginning January 1, 1996, the Dearness allowance is granted to compensate for price increases to which the revised pay scales relate. This will be reviewed twice a year, on January 1 and July 1. The following table shows all India Consumer Price Index since January 1, 2006 with base year 2001 equals 100. The VTH Pay Commission recommendations were implemented since January 1, 1996 and consequently DAR rate WEF 1.1.996 became 0. Further in 1994 central government merged 50% of the Dearness allowance with the basic pay WEF. January 4, 2004 and the Dearness allowance continued to be calculated with reference to the AICPI averages on January 1. 1996 of 306.33 without changing the index base consequent to the merger. Accordingly, Dearness allowance as mentioned in table below were sanctioned from January 7, 2004 till January 7, 2007. DAR rate as applicable after implementation of VIF Pay Commission recommendations WEF from January 1, 2006 is shown in table below, rate of Dearness allowance to West Bengal GOVT. Employees, generally DA is declared twice in a year. But from the above table it is clear that West Bengal GOVT is providing DA. to state govt employees in a very irregular fashion, for which the employees of West Bengal are very much deprived. Various public sector companies revise their DAR every quarter, but the formula for calculation of DAR is different owing to various reasons. Firstly, most PSUs follow IDA pattern, whereas central government follows CDA pattern. Secondly, PSUs received their wage revision from January 1, 2007 as per Second Pay Revision Committee report, whereas central government employees had their wage revision from January 1, 2006 as per Sixth Pay Commission report. Lastly, unlike central government, PSU revise their DAR rate every quarter as per DPE, Department of Public Enterprise, orders, that is, Jan, April, July and October of concerned year. Pensioners. Both pensioners and their families are granted DAR, and this continues following re-employment with the central or state government, a government undertaking, an autonomous body or a local body. That is, DAR is allowed in addition to a recipient's fixed pay or time scale. In other cases of re-employment, access to DAR is subject to the limit of emoluments last drawn. DAR is not allowed during a pensioner's time overseas if employment is undertaken. However, the DAR remains accessible to overseas pensioners whilst the recipient is not employed. Rates of DAR for pensioners. Prior to 1972, there was no element of DAR attached to pensions. From April 1, 1972, a flat rate of DAR was paid to all pensioners. From April 1, 1979 to September 30, 1984, there were 28 installments of DAR paid to pensioners at certain fixed rates for 13 groups of pension amounts. From October 1, 1984 to date, pensioners are paid DAR at a certain percentage of basic pension. The allowance is calculated on the original pension without commutation. From July 1, 1986, the percentage has been revised every 6 months based on the cost of living index. 0.72 to 80 DAR may be allowance. References. http, Labour Bureau Nikan OWSTP %20 chap. %20 HTM, external links, Government of Tamil Nadu, Directorate of Pension, Dearness Allowance, Government of Tamil Nadu, Directorate of Pension, Dearness Allowance Rate Tables, Indian Banks Association, Dearness Allowance for Bank Employees, All India Oriental Bank Officers Association, Salary and Allowances for Bank Officers Employees, Dearness Allowance Relief from Jan. 2015 will be 114% approximately. How to calculate Dearness Allowance, Cabinet approves 10% DAR increase, comparative study DAR GOI versus banks, rate of Dearness Allowance and interim relief to WBGOVT. Employees.